conversations, especially with people who already know what they're doing or think they know what they're doing. On paper, things look fine. The sales are still coming in, the numbers don't raise any red flags, nothing is obviously broken, and yet decisions are being made based on those numbers that start slowly pulling the business in the wrong direction. And I want to talk today about why things can look good and still not be working quite the way that you think that they are. So when people say their marketing is doing well, they usually mean something like this. The traffic is steady, costs are at benchmark, and results are usually within the range that they're used to seeing. None of that is bad. The problem is that those numbers often get treated like a verdict when really they are just clues to the next best step. So good numbers tell you that something is running, but they don't tell you if you're going in the right direction. And so that's where strategy starts to come in, because there's an assumption that shows up when we're talking about the numbers, and that's that if the numbers are good, then the overall approach has got to be good too. But numbers don't confirm your marketing strategy is right. They mostly tell you how efficiently something's happening. So you can efficiently grow something, the right thing that creates headaches. It's the wrong benchmark, the wrong direction. And you can efficiently attract the wrong customer or the person who's actually not a customer, especially with the way Meta works these days. You can efficiently reinforce patterns that make the business harder to run over time. I usually see this when we're talking about ads show up in a few ways. And that's when we're getting leads in, but the conversations are feeling harder. It's taking longer to move them towards actually wanting to buy. It's taking more convincing, more explaining. You're having to have more conversations. But nothing looks wrong in the numbers because the lead costs are low. There's lots of them. People are clicking on the ads. And so you think, well, I guess it's working, but it gets blamed on the wrong thing. Like you're not doing the follow-up or there's something in the sales process. And sometimes that really is true. Sometimes the marketing is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and that's not the issue, but not always. In marketing, we tend to set one number as the key number. It's the one benchmark number. And if that number is good, we're happy. If it's bad, we start to panic. And over time, you start making decisions only about that number, about that cost per lead, for example. You get stuck on, I need $3.50 leads and no more. Even if maybe it's possible that a $5 or $6 lead would bring a buyer. And so these decisions to stick with the wrong number can make businesses messier or more fragile. And at that point, numbers aren't helping. They're not helping the strategy. The strategy is supposed to help with the numbers. We like our good-looking numbers, especially ad managers. We like good clicks and we like good conversion rates, because they make it easier not to dig in. When the numbers look good, it's like, oh, it's fine. But if we know that later on down the line, we're not getting the sales after our ad numbers look good, we have to dig into what's happening, because we're just going to set ourselves up for more trouble later on down the line. So we've got to look at solving the right problem. And that's where things start to get counterintuitive. People with more experience actually fall victim to this more often than newbies, because we know if you've had a funnel for a long time, what to do to get that conversion rate up, what to do to get the click rate up. And we can keep adjusting and smoothing things out and make the numbers look good, even though the sales still aren't coming in. So when you are looking at ads, you have to look at your whole funnel, and you have to look at what's happening from the very beginning to the very end, and you have to zoom out. When I am looking at the performance of a funnel that's going from ads, we are looking at the bigger decisions. And that revolves around what kind of leads do we want? Do we want those cheap leads? Or would we rather pay more for people who are more likely to buy later on down the line. Let's not get married to a single cost per acquisition if we can bring in higher quality people with a slightly different strategy that makes them more likely to buy. So, I'm an ads manager. I will always look at the numbers. The whole reason I went into ads is because I love being able to use numbers to inform a decision. I tell the story of when I was working at a creative agency, and there were two types of people. I was on the creative team, and the people in the creative team were amazing. They could just tell what creative was good or bad because they were creatives. They just knew. I am not a creative. I was thrilled when I found out that I could look at the numbers to decide what was good and what was bad in terms of performance. And so that's why I went into ads. And this is about how the numbers don't always mean what we think they mean, but at the same time, I will always cling to the numbers. We just have to realize that they are information that inform the bigger picture. We use them to confirm our instincts about what creative is good or bad. We use them to confirm our instincts about what decisions we have to make. They tell you what is happening in the moment. They don't tell you what the next right step is, because there are times when good numbers aren't actually what we want. There are times when a high click-through rate, which usually we get really excited about with ads, isn't the right thing because it means that we're getting super low quality leads, or it means that we're getting people clicking on a compelling ad that isn't actually getting signups. There's lots of reasons why we can have good numbers on a certain metric when it doesn't actually mean something good. And that's why we have to, whenever we're looking at ads, really evaluate the strategy when we look at the numbers. So when we have a good click rate, make sure, is it because the video is high quality and going to convert people and that's why they're clicking on it? Or is it because the creator said something fascinating and out of character that has people pausing and rewatching and clicking, and so that video got all the results even though it wasn't the one that drew the most signups? When we're dealing with AI systems like we are with Meta, we have to pay attention to whether the numbers are good and bad. Sometimes we'll get really cheap CPMs. That's how much it costs to put our ad on the platform. And we get excited about CPMs as ad managers. We're like, yes, that's low cost. It's like finding something on sale at Target. But sometimes the stuff on sale at Target is the cheap stuff and you don't want it. And so as an ads manager, you have to look and decide, are those CPMs the good stuff at Target, the big deal that somebody missed? Or are they the dregs and the cheap stuff that you didn't want in the first place? So this is what I want you to take away from this. Good numbers aren't always good. They don't always mean that your strategy is right. You have to go deeper than that and look at what's causing the numbers and how they're working in context with all of the other numbers. You have to compare them to your actual sales. You have to compare them to your conversion rates and make sure that they are actually aligned. And once you have strategy in with your numbers, that's when you can start to make good decisions.